Hello, fellow humans. Today on Get In, We're Going Healing, we are going to talk about self-acceptance. It's been a minute, and welcome to the show. Welcome to Get In, We're Going Healing. So for those who are unfamiliar, my name is Tovah, and I will be your host. So on this channel, we talk about things that have to do with your healing and your well-being to help you grow and become your best self. Now, I want to make it clear, I am not an expert in this. I am a fellow human being, just like you, with problems and traumas and all kinds of things that I'm healing. And the reason that I started this channel was to share my process with you, to share with you what I learn as I go along my path, healing and growing and releasing the things that aren't making me happy, the things that aren't making me my best self, because I want to see you be your best self too. I want to see you let go of the things that are stopping you from being happy and living the life of your dreams. So all I want to do is share with you what I know and what I'm learning so that you will also know those things. What you choose to take from it is up to you. Take what resonates with you and let go of what doesn't. If something doesn't work for you, it doesn't have to. I'm just sharing with you through multiple sources of things, books and podcasts I listen to, and people I follow, different social media people that I follow that share content. And I'm just a hub. That's it. I just share with you what I hear from others that may help you, that helped me. So here we are. Welcome. If you're new, thanks for joining us. If you're not new, thanks for coming back. Now, I know it's been a little while since I've posted, and this eclipse season has wreaked havoc in my life in multiple different ways. If you're not familiar, we've had several eclipses recently. We had an eclipse at the end of May, a lunar eclipse, and we had a solar eclipse on June 10th. What that means is there are different things that have happened astrologically that are changing the collective, changing everybody living on this earth, on this consciousness. Going back to December, going back to the winter solstice, we shifted out of the age of, I believe we were in the age of Capricorn, and we moved into the age of Aquarius. For those who are not familiar, maybe you've heard the song, it's the dawning of the age of Aquarius, that came out in like the 70s, 60s, 70s, something like that. It was the beginning of the age of Aquarius. The age of Aquarius is all about innovation. It's all about new. It's all about the mental. It's an air sign. So it's all about communication and the mental and things like that. And we are shifting out of the oppressive things that happened in the age of, again, I think it's Capricorn is where we were. And that age was all about the Industrial Revolution. And that's awesome. That changed a lot of things. But off of that, we're able to move forward now. And we're moving forward into a space where people are choosing to heal and choosing to move forward with their lives. You may notice behind me, I've changed my background. I now have my pride flag. It goes all the way up and it says equality as we go down. And I have my bisexual flag because I am, as we're doing this episode more about self-acceptance, I am coming to terms with more of myself and accepting myself. And I am part of the LGBTQ2 plus community because I identify as being bisexual. This is probably news to some people. Those who are my friends, this is not news at all. They've always known this. I've never hidden this. But I guess in a way, this is my coming out. Surprise, I'm bisexual. This is an area that I have struggled with because bi-erasure is a real thing. Within the LGBTQ community, when I was a teenager, again, I'm kind of on the old side. I am 40. I just turned 40. And when I was a teenager in the 90s, being anything other than hetero was made fun of. It was teased. I I didn't know that bisexual was an option. So I spent a lot of time being confused about who I was. And I am just now working through and coming to terms with myself. There's a lot of difficulty, especially because I am married to a man. It is often overlooked because I'm in a heterosexual relationship. So it's just assumed that I'm straight, but I'm not. And I have had to work through feelings with that and struggled with my identity and struggled with understanding who I am and question maybe I'm only attracted to women because it's cool or it's attractive or it's attention. And there's been a lot of questions and things that I've had to work through. That's my story. I mean, I'm sure everybody has a story, and I'm still working through this. So part of my self-acceptance is being open about my sexuality, being open about who I am, and not caring if other people have a problem with it. Because I mean, I was raised Christian. I was raised with a lot of Christian strong values. I've had fights with family members in regards to gay rights. I am married to a man who is Italian Catholic. He's not Catholic. He does not identify with any particular religion at this point, but family members that are, and there's a lot of judgment and a lot of secrecy, let's say. Being that I am married to a man, it's easier as a bisexual to ignore that side, pretend that side doesn't exist, to not have to come out. Unlike people who identify as queer or lesbian or gay. I'm sorry, I'm still learning this, so I'm not up on all the terms, and I'm sure I'm saying things wrong. I apologize. I'm still working my way into this and understanding. So I mean, no offense whatsoever to those. I don't know all the terms. I'm still learning. But to those who cannot hide, let's say, for lack of better term, I'm not sure how to say that. You've had to face things like coming out and the stress and difficulty. And I guess one of the advantages, again, not sure how I want to say that, but one of the things that has prevented me from fully coming out before was that I didn't have to. Being bisexual meant that I could, and being bisexual with stronger leanings towards men means that I don't have to come out. I didn't have to, but I'm choosing to, because this is part of who I am. This is part of accepting that this is who I am, and not just closeted, not just hiding it, not just my friends only knowing, but fully coming out to the world and saying, this is who I am. I am attracted to both men and women. And that is part of accepting that I am who I am. Whew, I got chills doing that. This is very new for me, so bear with me. So again, with the eclipse season, going back to the astrology, with the eclipse season, we are making major shifts and changes in our world and in our inner worlds, as well as our outer worlds. I'm sure you are noticing the fall of systems. We are seeing systems that have been in place, inequalities that have been in place are changing. Things are coming to light. Light is being shined on inappropriate things that have happened that push the power dynamic of inequality. And that's changing. Our world is changing now, and systems are being dismantled. Inequalities are being dismantled slowly. I mean, we only just moved into the age of Aquarius, but expect that these things are going to happen. These things are falling. This is the tower moment, which is scary, but at the same time, when the tower card comes up, the idea behind the tower card is things just fall. It's time. You either jump or you fall with it. But when it's all done, when it's just the pile of rubble, when it's all finished, the towers have all fallen, it's time to rebuild. And it's time to rebuild differently. It's time to rebuild better. When you can dismantle the old things, you have the space to rebuild and start over. And that is beautiful. Ooh, chills when I said that too. That is absolutely beautiful. And that happens on small scales individually in our own lives. And it also happens in large scales. And we are seeing that happen on the world stage. Things are dismantling, things are falling apart. The foundation is being rocked and things are dropping. And it's time. It's time, people. It's time. So with all the things that have gone on, I have had a lot happening in my personal life. I've had a lot of things coming to the surface that I have needed to face and heal, and things that are being lit, let's say, things that are light being shined on things that I wasn't even aware were there. Old systems, old traumas that are preventing me from moving forward. And the universe has said, okay, it's time. And I have not been able to sit down and do a podcast episode because I have been dealing with some heavy stuff going on in my life and releasing it. So I'm back. I'm ready. I think I'm going to start doing the episodes bi-weekly as opposed to every week, just so that I can have time for myself to work on my stuff, to heal and process my own things as I continue growing and shedding my old skin, let's say, my old self. And I think I need that. I need that time for myself so that I can work on stuff. So we're going to be moving to 2 episodes a month, possibly more, as I start bringing in more guests for different interviews and different things, as that stuff comes available to me. But we'll see. I mean, we'll have to see. I'm not sure how I'm going to balance it, but we'll find a way. We'll find a way somewhere. So one of the things I want to talk about self-acceptance is the importance of being seen and being heard. So I've talked before, I've been reading the book, How to Do the Work by Dr. Nicole Lepera, who is also the holistic psychologist, and you can find her on Facebook and on Instagram. And she also has a new podcast, which is awesome. The Sound Healers, I'm going to say this totally wrong. Soundboard Healers, I think. I'm sure. I will link it in the show notes so that you can find it, where she helps you walk through healing your trauma. Her focus is combining psychology with holistic stuff, with more natural healing stuff, more spiritual stuff. And I'm totally down for that. I'm all about that sort of stuff. So she's been sharing content that I've been utilizing in my own life. And one of the things that was brought up was childhood traumas. And as I became aware of these childhood traumas, I've been healing them as I go. We've talked about that in our generational traumas episode. But one of the things that she talked about, childhood trauma, is also things like not being seen or heard as a child. Your parents did not see you for who you were, and they did not hear you. Things like having a parent deny your reality. That looks like a parent saying, "Oh, it wasn't that bad," or you're being sensitive. You're being that didn't really happen that way. It wasn't that bad. And I have had that. I've experienced that as I've tried to talk to my parent figures about my childhood trauma, and the responses would be, it's not that bad. It wasn't that bad. But we experience things differently. Children experience things differently than their parents. And nothing has been more clear than that as being a parent myself. Children experience things differently than their parents do. A situation for a child might be really big, might be something they're really struggling with, but to a parent, I got bills to pay, I got a life to deal with, I can't, that's not that big of a deal. The fact that your tower fell down is not a big deal, but to the child, it's a big deal. And by being told that their feelings are not valid, it teaches them that they can't rely on their feelings. They can't, that their feelings are not accurate, and that they should look to someone else for how to feel. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that. I'm sure many of you had childhoods in a similar fashion, and that's where your trauma lies, where you have to work on healing that because you can't trust yourself. It also looks like being told directly or indirectly that you can't or shouldn't experience certain emotions. That's things like telling a child they're too sensitive, don't cry, you're too emotional, you're being over dramatic, because they're experiencing a feeling that the parent is not. And through that, the child is being told that their feeling is not a valid feeling, that the experience they're having is not real, and that their feeling isn't, that they need to push that down and pretend to be something else. I mean, I don't have to be a rocket scientist to explain to you how bad that is as an idea of telling people that their feelings are not real. Because if you can't trust your own feelings, how do you even know what you're feeling? So those of us who were raised in that way may have trouble expressing our feelings or even acknowledging our own feelings. This can result in things like people pleasing, where you can't handle people being upset with you and you have to go out of your way to make them happy, because they're happy. When they're happy, you're happy. But are you? This is childhood trauma also looks like a parent figure who can't regulate their emotions. I grew up with that, and that was something I had to learn. My parent figures, neither of them could regulate their emotions. And we talked about this again back in the generational curses episode, generational chains. Parent figures who cannot regulate their own emotions. So when they feel angry, sad, any of those big emotions, they can't pull themselves out of it. So it ends up being spewed onto those around them. With my maternal figure, my mother, it was a lot of anger. My mother struggled to control her anger. And when she was angry, everybody tried to hide, because she would use physical violence, she would use verbal violence, she would use all kinds of different things to express her displeasure when she was angry. And she didn't care if it hurt people. Now, again, I want to make it clear, we are not in the game of blaming. Okay, this is acknowledging that these things happen, so that we can acknowledge the patterns in ourselves and we can heal those patterns in ourselves. This does not mean that we are going to sit around and say, I am this way because of you. You may feel that way. You may have thoughts that way. And that's totally okay to have feelings of anger, that the things that you are struggling with now were caused by things that your parents did and things that they weren't able to give you. But try to remember, they could not give it to you because they did not know how. They likely also had these things happen to them and are just passing down what they know. If they don't know how to heal it, they can't heal it. They have to know how. They can't do better for you if they don't know how to do better. This is why you're breaking the chains and you're doing better, so that you are the stop. You are where it ends. It does not pass down again through the generations. You change things. Ooh, chills again when I said that. You are the one to change things. So we can be angry with our parents, but let it pass, because it's in a way, it's not their fault. They didn't know how to, and they couldn't. So we need to forgive. This also can look like, childhood trauma can also look like having a parent figure who does not model boundaries. So that ends up being that we don't have good, strong, solid boundaries. Either we allow people to walk all over us and take advantage of us because we don't have a limit, we don't have a boundary, or we end up being responsible for doing that to others and manipulating others to get what we want. Or oversharing is another way of lacking boundaries, where we overshare information to others just because we don't have boundaries. I'm guilty of that. I am learning boundaries. I am growing in that way, but I did not have boundaries modeled for me. And I'm pretty certain that my mother did not have boundaries modeled for her either, given her situation growing up. So that means that I've had to learn what boundaries are, and respecting other people's boundaries and respecting my own boundaries. Very tough, very tough. Another childhood trauma looks like having a parent figure that's focused on appearance. Now, I initially didn't think that I had that issue, and that's explained as our parents' body image becomes our own internalized body images. The way they speak about their own bodies and and our bodies becomes our internal voice. We unconsciously believe our appearance is the way to gain or lose love and approval. Now, my mother clearly struggled with her body image. I'm not going to go into details because boundaries, but she struggled with her physical appearance. And my mother judgmentally commented on other people's physical appearance regularly, myself included. I heard things like, my mother was large chested, I was not. And when I hit puberty and my body was changing, there was a lot of, oh, they're just little pimples. When you have big ones like I have, then we can talk. Those are just little tiny pimples. They're just little tiny bumps, which made me feel very bad about myself, especially in a time where I was developing a sense of self-identity in the teenage years. And as your body's going through puberty and you feel awkward and uncomfortable, that's not a time to criticize your child's physical being. Unfortunately, that is what I experienced. So my mother often criticized the clothes that I wore. She criticized how I looked. There was a lot of judgment. And I wasn't fully aware of that until recently, just as these eclipse seasons have been showing things and bringing to light things. It was also made apparent when I went to visit my mother. My mother is an African-American woman. She chemically straightens her hair. And I believe I've talked about this before in past episodes about wearing my hair natural and my issues with learning to love my hair as it is in its natural state. And I chemically straightened my hair from the age of 12 up until about 4 years ago or so. And my mother still chemically straightens her hair. Now I understand why. Racism and issues to do with that would have caused my mother to want to wear her hair straight, as those of non-African American, biracial or non-Black Indigenous people of color. My mother straightened her hair, and she still does. And to her, the pinnacle of beauty is straight, luxurious hair, and natural hair, kinky hair, frizzy, air quotes, frizzy hair, is not attractive to her and is seen as a negative. So recently when I went to visit, she had gotten her hair straightened and it looked very nice and she looked lovely. And I commented how lovely she looked. And she made a remark to my spouse about how she had spent years paying for my sister and I to get our hair straightened and make us look nice, and that she never thought as an adult woman that my hair would end up looking like this, as she points at my natural hair. This is not the first time a comment of that type has been made. It has been made several times since I chose to wear my hair natural. My spouse did speak up and say, I like her hair. And I commented that I like my hair, but I ended up realizing through that my mother does make negative remarks about my physical appearance, and that my apprehension on wearing my hair natural was not due to my own personal thoughts, but the thoughts that were implanted in my head by my mother and society about how women of color need to wear their hair straight and luxurious in order for it to be beautiful, and that natural hair is kinky and wild and unattractive. So that has been part of my journey for self-acceptance, and that has been hard. And I'm not sure that my mother is aware of that. And it's kind of in the line of, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, because I don't think my mother in her senior years at this point is going to understand. But there's a lot of judgment there, and there's been a lot of difficulty for myself in healing through that judgment. And I was not seen or heard. I was not seen as being my own individual self. And still, as a grown woman with my own family and my own life as a 40-year-old woman, my mother still feels that it's her place to judge my physical appearance and judge how I choose to look at my body and how I choose to wear my hair or the clothes that I wear or how I look. And that's a control issue. And that is most certainly childhood trauma I've had to move through and get over. So also in self-acceptance, I want to talk about accountability. So this is where I was saying about having to let go of my mother's judgments, accountability of understanding where my issues come from and tackling my traumas rather than making my mother responsible for how I feel about myself, acknowledging how I feel about myself, and then working through that. And accountability for the thoughts in my head and the way that I feel about myself and the way that I speak and think about other people. That if I'm allowed to be myself, that I have to allow other people to be their selves, and I have to accept them. If I want them to accept me as I am, I have to accept them as they are. I cannot be angry that they are not doing the things that I think they should, because they are who they are and I am who I am, and I must accept myself, but I must also accept other people for who they are, wherever they are on their healing path. If they choose to heal or not heal, they are who they are. And all I can do is control myself and choose whether or not I allow those people into my life and cut them out if I need to, or limit contact if I need to, or set the boundaries that I need to set. But it's accountability for myself, not blaming other people for how they make me feel, but setting my own boundaries and saying, okay, you are who you are, and this is how you're going to be, but I have to make the choices that are best for me, that are best for my healing. And also the same thing with other people. And if people have to cut us off, understanding that we need to be accountable for the choices that we make and the things that we do and the feelings that we have, and not making other people responsible for those things. So in line with that, of accepting yourself and accepting who you are, I want to talk about forgiving yourself. Now, we've talked about forgiveness in a previous episode, forgiveness and surrender. But I want to talk about how to forgive yourself as you begin to become accountable for who you are and understand how to let go of the guilt. Because guilt is a low level vibration. That's like down here. We want to be like up here. But if you're sitting in guilt, you are sitting in a low vibration, and that's not going to help you be your best self. I mean, we go up and down and up and down, and we get in high vibrations, we get in low vibrations. But when we are in a guilt state, we are in a low vibration. And I mean, it's fine to accept and understand that you've made mistakes, but sitting in guilt and feeling guilty about the things that you've done, the choices you've made, the things that you had to do to get to where you are, to be who you are, it doesn't honor the process of growth. We can't be upset with ourselves that we weren't more than we were when we were in those places, because we couldn't have been. We were who we were. We didn't have the knowledge. We didn't have the tools. We didn't have what we needed to be who we are now, to understand. So we need to accept and forgive ourselves for who we were. One of the ways you can do that is writing a letter to yourself, and write a letter and saying, I'm sorry that I did these. I'm sorry that I made these choices. I'm sorry I did not honor you. I'm sorry that I did not accept you. I'm sorry that I judged you. All of those things, whatever it is that you've done to yourself and treated yourself badly, it's time to forgive yourself, because part of accepting who you are is accepting that who you were before was part of who you needed to be to get to where you are now. You couldn't have been more because you didn't have what you needed. You are who you are now. You need to forgive the things that you did before. I'm not even going to call them mistakes, because it's part of the learning and growth process. Forgive who you were when you didn't know better. And the best way to do that is journaling, writing, sharing those thoughts. And you can look back on those, but to say to yourself, I am sorry. You can do that in the mirror as well. I've mentioned that before, that I talk to myself in the mirror and I look at myself and I honor myself and say, I'm sorry, Tovah. I'm sorry that I was not the person you needed me to be. Oh my gosh, that makes me emotional. But I'm sorry that I was not the person that you needed me to be. I'm sorry that I did not love you the way that you deserve to be loved. I'm sorry that I did not honor you the way that you deserve to be honored. I'm sorry I did not trust you and trust your instincts, that I gave away my power to other people. I'm so sorry. It doesn't matter how you do it. Write it out, say it, videotape yourself doing it. I mean, whatever. The idea is to have compassion for yourself and to forgive yourself. So I also want to share a quote from the holistic psychologist. And she says, the root of trauma was the lack of choice and a need to betray ourselves to cope. So we develop these traumas, these triggers, these things, because we had to betray ourselves. The people around us, we had to give up the things that we thought were important to us in order to fit in order to cope with the situations. And I've said this to people before. The person you were when you were a child, the coping skills you learned were important in that environment that you were in. It's how you managed to survive that environment. But once you are no longer in that environment, those coping skills are not helpful. Out in the rest of the world, outside of that specific small dynamic of where you were in that situation, is not comparative to the rest of the world, the rest of society, the rest of your life outside of that. So the coping skills that you learned are not useful coping skills outside of that particular environment. But unless you learn new ones, those become your fallback. Those becomes the things that you fall back to when you need a coping strategy. And you jump right back into the ones that you learned because you assume, I've already learned these. These are part of who I am. This is just it. But it's not. Your situations change, and those are no longer part of who you need to be. So you have the ability to change yourself. You have the ability to change your coping mechanisms. You have the ability to change. Acknowledging that those things are there and those traumas exist are important, but also moving past them, choosing to learn new skills. I also want to share how to help you when you are feeling triggered, when these triggers come up in you and you are feeling unsafe, let's say, triggered, anxious, shaky, scared, angry, all of these different feelings. When these big emotions come up and you don't know how to regulate, one of the things that we can do is to connect with our bodies. We talked about this in episode 2 about the body scan, and it's the same idea. It's feeling your body. It's taking a minute to feel, how do these feelings feel in my body? So you can start with your toes up. You can start with your top down. It doesn't matter. Start with the hands. How do my hands feel? I'm feeling angry, anxious, scared, upset, worried, any of them, any of those things. How does my body feel? And this is good. This is something we do with children as well, as we're teaching emotional regulation. And this is something that works for adults as well. How does my body feel? My hands feel sweaty and hot. My chest feels, my heart feels like it's racing. My body feels tingly and shaky and unsure. My shoulders feel tight and squished and just tight and bound up. All of these things are physical reactions to our emotional selves. When we can acknowledge how our body feels, we start to recognize where our emotional selves are. And we can take breaths to let go. We can use our coping skills to let go. We can use our self-soothing tools to let go. Those things look like taking 5 deep breaths, checking in with your environment. Looking for a color is a great one. I had friends help me. I used to have, as I mentioned before, I used to have pretty severe anxiety attacks, panic attacks. And I had friends explain to me, try 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can smell, 3 things that you can touch, 2 things that you can, 2 things that you can smell, hear, 1 thing that you can taste, and get yourself grounded back in your physical body, in your physical space, in the here and now, outside of whatever's happening in the mental, in your here and now. You can also do things like taking breaths. I use this one with my child. I use this one with myself a lot. When I'm upset, I take myself out of the situation, and then I take 5 deep breaths. Sometimes I got to go as far as 10 because I'm really upset. But taking the big breath, feel your rib cage expand, feel your belly expand, and then breathe out through your mouth slowly, and be physically present in your body. Feel how your body feels as the air comes in and how your body feels as the air goes out. Not thinking about the thing that triggered you, not thinking about the emotion, not thinking about the thing that somebody said or they did or any of those things, letting the thought go and being physically present in your body, taking the breaths and being aware of where you are. Another one is colors. Pick a color, any color, doesn't matter. Pick a color and then look around the room and wherever you are and look to see if you can find that color somewhere around you in different shades. See how many shades of that color you can find if there's multiple things. Be aware of your present space outside of whatever mental thing is happening. Get yourself out of your mental state and into your physical self. Nature is another fantastic way to do that. Go outside, listen. I go outside and I listen for the birds. I listen for, right now in summertime, we're in summer and we've got the wind in the trees, and I can hear the sound of the wind moving through the leaves and the trees and that beautiful rustling sound. I can hear the birds chirping. I can hear squirrels moving around. I can hear all those different things. It gets me out of my mental state and aware. I also want to share another idea that a friend of mine gave me that I'm currently trying to implement into my life. And those are keywords. And I also use key things that I see. So when I hear a certain word, it's to get me back into a state of awareness, of being present in my state, things that I see too. So for me, I understand that butterflies are a sign of transformation. So if I happen to see a butterfly, that's a reminder to me that, oh yeah, we're transforming, we're letting go. This is part of the transformation. This is part of the growth. So I let go. And whatever it is I was thinking about, whatever thing that was stressing me out, oh, a butterfly. Okay. Let it go. And it's just a snap reminder to let that go. Birds chirping. I have been following different tarot readers that I love. And one of the messages I got is that my spiritual team, they connect, my guides, they connect with me through birds. So when I notice a bird, if I hear a bird chirp or if I notice a bird fly past me, that's a quick reminder, oh, get out of that state, get back in the present, let go of whatever it is you were lost in thought and get back in the present, be back in the present moment. So to pull that in about self-acceptance, the reason that I'm suggesting all of these things is that I just want you to learn to accept yourself as you are, where you are right now, not who you're going to be when you've healed all this stuff or who you used to be when you were deep in the trauma, but who you are now, accepting that who you were before is part of the journey to get you here, accepting that you will be different as you move forward on this process, but are not now. And that's okay. You are who you are right now. And you need to accept who you are right now. And that's okay if you're not. There's no such thing as perfection. Perfection is this weird development that people have come up with about somebody decided that this is the ideal. There's no ideal. You are who you are in every moment, in all of those aspects of who you are. That's you. There's no perfect. Anybody's anything is just some judgment about what you're supposed to be, and it's just designed to force you to be a certain way, but you are not anything. The true self is being who you are and loving yourself and loving acceptance of who you are and saying, this is me. And it doesn't have to be what anybody else wants it to be. It doesn't have to even be what I want it to be. I am who I am. And if I want to change, if I need to change, that's up to me. But I accept myself as I am in the moment in which I am here. Affirmations are another wonderful way to do that. Recently, I was given a message through, again, a tarot reader, but also through a friend of mine with the keywords. And I was given the message to repeat to myself regularly, I create abundance. I create wealth. I create prosperity. I create peace. I create happiness. I create love. I am love. Whew, chills as I say that, because that has been something instrumental to me, because I have traditionally not loved myself. I have struggled to feel comfortable in myself. I've struggled to feel positive things about myself. My negative self-talk was pretty big game with a negative self-talk. And I have had to learn to let go of that and learn to love me as I am and accept me as I am, and to tell myself that I love myself. And that not only do I love myself, but I embody love and I spread love to others. And as you spread, love is the highest vibration that you can have. Love and compassion. And compassion basically is just love for others, understanding of who they are and love for who they are. Sorry, I just saw a centipede walk past me on my carpet, and they're good for getting rid of little bugs, but I'm not a fan of centipedes. There's something icky about them. I'm gonna leave him alone. Hopefully he finds somewhere to go that I can't see him, but I am not a fan of centipedes. They creep me out. Oh, good, he went somewhere I can't see him. Okay, little centipede, you go over. Well, big centipede, he was big. Go over there. Loving yourself as you are, that I am love. I embody love. I spread love. I spread that stuff around like dandelion seeds floating in the air. I spread it. I am love. I love me. I love myself. I accept myself, and I love others and share with them as well. So affirmations help a lot in that way. I can have wealth, I can have prosperity, but I create it. I create wealth for myself. I create prosperity for myself. I create abundance. Abundance is just one thing to this extreme. An abundance of food is just lots and lots and lots of food, more than you need. An abundance of love, an abundance of wealth, an abundance of health, an abundance of joy, an abundance of just abundance. I create abundance. I create wealth. I create happiness. I create balance. I create love. When we tell ourselves these things, then our reality matches what we say to ourselves. If we say the negative things, then our reality reflects that. If we say, I create these things, I live in love, I live in these things, I create it, I share it, I spread it, then your reality has no choice but to reflect that. Maybe not instantly, but as you become more aware of yourself and accepting of yourself, you begin to understand that it is all around you all the time. And when you vibrate at that frequency of love, of abundance, it comes back. It is attracted to the vibration that you are putting out. When you are in a negative, low vibration, you attract the negative, low vibration things to you, because that's what you're putting out. When you vibrate upper, you attract that as well. Now, I am in no way talking toxic positivity where you can't be negative. That happens. We work in a spiral. We work around and we come back to the same situations over and over and over again with slightly different understanding, and view the situation again from a different perspective. So we may deal with the same situations over and over and over. I know I did. My partner and I fought about the same stuff over and over and over and over. And really at the core of it, neither of us were being seen by the other person, and neither of us felt heard by the other person. And it was trauma. Both of us have trauma that we have had to work our way through. And again, being seen and heard. Our parents did not see us or hear us. And we did not feel that our partners saw us or heard us. And we wanted badly to be seen and to be heard. And so we just, when we weren't, it triggered us to have these big emotional explosions, because we weren't being seen by our significant other, and we weren't being heard. And that again stems from our childhood of feeling stuck, that you're in a situation where your parent does not see you or hear you, and there's nothing you can do about it. So you feel powerless. And so in your relationship, you do that as well. And if your partner does not see you or hear you, or you don't feel seen or heard, you end up just basically being triggered back into feeling like that small child who wasn't seen or heard, and now insist upon being seen or heard. But that's not how it works. When you accept yourself for who you are, you don't need your partner to see you or hear you, even though we have an instinctive need for that. When you accept yourself for who you are and you love yourself, you understand that the fact that they can't see you or hear you is more to do with them than it has to do with you. They can't see you or hear you because they are in their own inner dialogue, and they can't see beyond that. That is a reflection of their space, of where they are, and not a reflection of you. So, I mean, we covered a lot of topics today. I don't want to keep the talk too long. I know it's been a while since we've talked. I do want to get into this more regularly. I am planning on starting to do more little live clips and stuff like that on my Instagram and on my Facebook, rather than always putting out full episodes of podcasts. If you want to keep up on that stuff, you can find me at Get In We're Going Healing on both Instagram and on Facebook. At Get In We're Going Healing. If you have a topic you want to talk about, if you want to share some ideas, if you want to share something that's happened to you, if you want to share anything, feel free to email me at getinwe'regoinghealing@gmail.com. I'm always here to listen. I want to help. I truly, at my core, I'm a helper. I want to help. I want other people to feel better. I want other people to work through their stuff, and I want to help you do that. If you need help, I will do my best. Send me a message. I'm happy to be there for you. It's been on a bit of a hiatus right now because I'm still trying to figure out how the whole Patreon thing works. But I do have a Patreon. You can find me at patreon.com. I want to say it's /getinhealing. If you want to support the show in any way, if any of this helped you, if you want to send a tip in some way, I gladly accept donations. It's not a requirement, but it's always appreciated. You can send me any tips that you might have at my PayPal. I want to say it's paypal.me/getinhealing. I'll link it in the show notes. You can also buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/getinhealing. So I'm hoping to edit this in a different way. I'm still working on content and editing and things like that. It's a work in progress. Again, eclipse season has brought a lot of stuff, and I've had a lot of self-work to work through. So I've not been making the effort. But I hope to edit and stuff like that and get some stuff moving. So yeah, I will be trying to add in some more stuff for everybody. So same as I always do, I want to pull some cards. Now I've actually gotten some new decks of cards. And again, I'm still learning. I'm still growing on this. I'm hoping to release some tarot picker cards because this is something that I find fascinating, and I've been getting the message that this is something I'm supposed to be called to do. But I'm going to pull a card right now. It's through the Osho Zen deck, which is one of my favorite decks. I absolutely adore this new deck. It's just a recent addition. So I'm going to pull a card for the collective for you guys. Even before I pulled it, that's amazing. I pulled up the card Possibilities. So without even having to look this up, I can tell you right now that this card, the meaning of this card is that you are the eagle above, flying above and looking down at all the things available to you. The sun is, I'm going to say both. I'm not sure if it's rising or setting, but either way doesn't make a difference. If it's setting, it's ending things that no longer serve you and releasing those things to start something new. And if it's rising, it's the beginning of something new. These are new things that are coming to you. There are infinite possibilities. Your life is filled with possibilities. There's no one thing. You don't have to be one thing or some other thing because somebody told you that you have to be. Excuse me, I dropped the cart. You don't have to be anybody's anything. Your life is filled with possibilities from this moment out. If you chose to do something different and make a different direction in your life, it's possibilities. It's possible. All of it's possible. Everything is possible. There's no limits. You can be anything. You can do anything. You can heal anything. Your life is filled with possibilities. Don't forget that. Okay. I'm also going to pull, I recently acquired these awesome Ask Your Guides Oracle cards, which I love. I use these regularly. So I'm going to pull a card for everybody as well on what the collective guides might want to share. What information do the people need to know? Ooh, thank you. Oh, there's two that came up. Oh, I haven't seen these before. We've got celebration with your joy guides. And we've got restriction also with joy guides. So these are new to me. So I'm going to look up the meanings because I have never seen these cards before. So these are a new deck, and I'm learning through Chloe Taylor that it's okay to look up the books. It's okay to look up the meaning. Okay. You don't have to be perfect. Ain't nobody perfect. It's not a thing. Okay. It's just about being yourself and authentic. And all I want to do is share this message with you guys. And I don't care if I have to read the book. So I'm going to read the book. Celebration and joy guide. So let's pull this up. Let's find this. Oh, there it is. Okay. So celebration and joy guides. That says alignment, harvest, bonding, and marriage. So maybe some people are going to be getting married, enjoying a bonding, an alignment of something. So you're entering a period of great expansion and celebration. Oh, that picks up off of the other one too. That's awesome. Your joy guides are at hand, ushering you into a season of abundance, celebration, and hospitality. You are loved, accepted, and trusted by those around you. This is a time when life gives back to you. You may become engaged, get married, receive a promotion, land a deal, or just get a long-awaited lucky break. Whatever you desire, your joy guides are urging you to prepare for, because it's surely coming. Realize that as life's tides turn your way, the soon-to-become realized positive flow of events isn't just a fluke or an accident or just the luck of the draw. Rather, it's the natural outcome of your unwavering efforts and commitment to your dreams and goals. Your joy guide's message: plan for the party. You'll soon have a reason to celebrate. Oh, I got chills as I said that, like from head to toe. Plan for the party. Okay. Celebrate. Okay. Plan for the party coming. So we also have restriction, and your joy guides want to talk to you about that one too. Sounds like you're probably not enjoying the joy. So let's find that one. Restriction: assumptions, rigidity, limitations, and prejudice. Your joy guides are tapping at your mind's door, hoping to open it and free you from the corner any narrow or presumptuous thinking on your part may be unwittingly backing you into. If you fall into the trap of running on too many assumptions or operating on unexamined, preconceived notions, you quickly eliminate all your options, leading you to a damned if I do, damned if I don't cycle of frustration. Your joy guides playfully remind you to step back and notice when your stuck perceptions might be attracting such frustration. They remind you that you're not stuck, but your thinking may be. Stop your mental movie and take a commercial break. It's time for a fresh look and a new viewpoint on all things. The best way to achieve this is to treat yourself to a heavy dose of humor and let it break through your unbearable dilemma. Your Joy Guide's counsel is, as always, the situation may be crucial or critical, but not serious. Join them in reviewing the situation and laugh your way forward. Hold on, I got a story about this. My partner and I were in a nasty fight, which was a problem we were having as we were developing our growth. We fought a lot, like a lot, to where the question was, should we even stay together? And one of our fights that we had near the end, neither of us were feeling heard or seen, and we were flashing off of that. We were trying to come to a conclusion of the fight, but egos were flaring, hurt feelings were flaring, trauma was flaring. And as we were working through to the end of it and accepting and sort of forgiving, or at least accepting each other, my child came into the room and did the most foolish thing. I don't even remember what it was, but it was such a thing that it made us both burst out into laughter. And in that laughter, it's like the tension broke and the anger just ebbed out. And we realized that we were making things into a bigger thing than it needed to be. And it wasn't as critical as we thought. It wasn't so serious. It was a foolish fight over some foolish thing that wasn't, it basically was our feelings, our triggers were triggered. And it wasn't the issue we were fighting over wasn't even worthy of a fight. It was more that our triggers had been triggered. Our feelings, our issues from our childhood of not being seen, not feeling worthy, not feeling valued, not feeling appreciated, triggered. And we reacted to those feelings. But when my child did something silly and that laughter, it broke the tension. And I find that works great too with my child as well, when we're having a conflict and working through stuff and he's just in his state, his grumpy face and his mad state, he doesn't want to let go. Humor does help. Making a silly joke, even if he goes, "Oh, mom," and groans, and I give a groaner joke, it doesn't matter. It broke the tension. Humor is a great way to do it. So when you find your mind is restricted, bring in the joy, bring in the happiness, laugh, watch a comedy, find a way to break that tension and let that energy dissipate. Great advice, guys. Thank you. And for our last, well, actually, there's going to be 2 more card pulls. I've also got this new deck that I love and I'm testing out, Angel Prayers. I recently acquired this just a few days ago, so these are new to me as well. These are awesome. Angel Prayers Oracle cards. So we're going to see what angel prayers need to be said, what the collective might need to hear. Oh, yes. This is a great card. Synchronicity. Synchronicity. Thank you, angels. I trust your well-timed guidance and signs. Synchronicity. So synchronicities are when you see the same message repeated over and over. Now, I was getting this, these happen to me all the time when I hear a message from one source and then a completely different source gives me the same message. And then I hear it again through like a radio show or in a commercial, and then I hear it again in a song, and I hear these messages come to me over and over and over, and it's the universe trying to say, listen, this message is important, and it keeps coming up in those synchronicities. So pay attention to those synchronicities. When a message keeps coming up for you and you keep noticing an echo of something over and over, pay attention to it. The universe is trying to tell you something. Your guides are trying to tell you something. Pay attention to those synchronicities. There's a learning and a healing available to you in that. Beautiful message. And we're going to end it out on one of my favorite, the I Am Media Company that we've used before, the affirmation cards. We're going to end it on an affirmation. on something that you can help to keep you focused on where you want to be, help you feel good about yourself. Oh, this is a good one. I am still, card 12, which reduces actually to a 3. Things happen in 3s. So I am still. I understand that there are times to move and there are times to be still. In my stillness, I seek greater understanding. I take time to rest and contemplate. I strive for unconditional happiness here in the present. I am still. Beautiful message. And actually, right now, as we are in, the sun has moved into the sign of Cancer. And that means we are in a time of emotional stuff. Emotional things will be coming up right now. And this is a good time to get still. This is a good time to get into your meditation. This is a good time to connect with your spiritual team who might be trying to share things with you that will help you grow. Okay. Ooh, chills again. This is something that's important. And this is a message I have been repeatedly getting as well, that it's time to go inward. It's time to get quiet, that in the quiet and the stillness, this is where the messages come. This is where the inspiration comes. This is where the creativity, this is, oh, there's that centipede again. He's heading back that way and he went that way already. So he circled around. Maybe there's a message there. I'll have to look up what centipedes mean, even though they creep me out. I think the universe is sharing something with me by showing me that centipede twice, the same guy. Oh no, I'm gonna have to look that up. In that stillness, we hear messages. All of my best inspirations have come in the stillness. I mean, this podcast, I was in a meditative moment. I was doing my breathing and trying to get still and quiet. And this message came to me in January in a meditation. And I wrote that down in a journal. It took me a few months to really believe that it was going to happen. But it did. And the universe said, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to share this with other people because they need to grow. And as you've learned and grown, you need to share that with other people who don't know how to get there, who don't know how to go that way. And here we are. I'm also currently writing, which is something that I didn't think I'd get back into, but I'm writing, and the universe has been giving me messages as to what I'm supposed to write, what I'm supposed to do, how I'm supposed to do it. And I've been told over and over, I need to get still and quiet because that's how the inspiration will come. That's where the ideas will come from. Because if I try to force it, I'm going against the flow of the universe. That instead the universe will bring to you what you need. You just have to get quiet. You have to get still. You have to hear what it's trying to tell you. And if you're chatter, you're not going to hear the messages. If your ego is doing a lot of talking, and you've got a lot of thoughts working through your head, you're never going to hear the messages because intuition, higher self, spiritual team, whatever, talks to you in quiet, in softness, gently. They don't shout at you. If you've got a lot of negative inner dialogue happening, it's time to get quiet. It's time to examine those things and ask, is that me or is that my programming? Is that my trauma? Is that my stuff that other people gave me that are stopping me from being myself, stopping me from hearing my true self? Because inner self, higher self speaks to you quietly. So get still, work on that meditation. If you have to start with guided meditations, that's okay. That's okay. That's all right. I'm also going to link in the show notes. I love this app called Synchronicity. Synchronicity? No, sorry. Synctuition, and it uses binaural beats, and it like ASMR binaural beats sort of thing. There's no talking, and it's not guided in that way. It's guided just in the beats and the sounds that happen that help your mind get into the quiet space and share messages with you that need to be shared with you. I do have a link available that I can share with others about, you can get a week free. Now it's only a week, I pay for the yearly subscription because I find it completely worth it for my own value. But I can link the link in there to get a week free of sync tuition and give it a try. See if it helps you. It might. There's also apps like Headspace. There's apps like Calm. There's tons of different apps out there to help you with a guided meditation if that's what you need, if you can't do it on your own. I also encourage you to check out Spirit Science on YouTube. It's a channel. There's an episode about meditation. I'll try to link that one in the show notes as well. There's an episode about meditation and like what that means and how to do it. I mean, Spirit Science is one of my favorite channels. I totally recommend it. If you haven't checked it out before, totally check it out. And again, I want to encourage other people, other YouTubers, other people who are helpful. I am big fans as far as tarot readers. I love the Tarot Priest. I love Chloe Taylor. I love Shanetta's Intuition. And I also love the Gem Goddess. I've been using her manifestation meditation. I'll link that as well. Share her manifestation meditation I've been using nightly about manifesting my goals and my dreams into reality, and like picturing what you want in your life and putting that vibe out into the universe to have it come back to you and repeat back like sonar. It bounces off, it echoes out there, bounces off and comes rolling back to you. So what you put out, you get back. So intention matters, and focusing on meditating on the things that you want to come into your life is a great way to bring those things into your life. When you focus on the negative things in your life, you're going to bring more of those things in. So try to focus on what you want and bring that in. So I would recommend the Gem Goddess. Her readings are awesome, but it's also her meditations are really helpful. Yeah. So I think I've taken up your time enough today. Love and light, fellow human. I love you. Like, if you're on this spiritual healing goal, you're amazing. Go you. You're taking responsibility for your life and you're growing, and that's absolutely amazing. I can't wait to see what the heck goes on with your life and who you are and what you become. It's utterly amazing. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your time with me and for hearing what I have to say. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you hearing me. I appreciate you hearing this message. And I hope that my message helps you. I hope the things that I share with you help you to grow to be your best self. So until next time, love and light, fellow human.